Hey there guys and gals, welcome back. So today I've got the Kawasaki ZX-9R out, and recently of course we just acquired this motorcycle and the previous owner mentioned that she needs an oil change. That's what we're going to do today. We're also going to give her a wash, we're also going to do the chain, maybe even do some chain adjustment, and basically just go over the motorcycle and give her a nice good little bit of TLC. Let's jump right in. Right, so I suppose whilst we're here we might as well go over everything that is wrong with the motorcycle currently. So the very first thing that I noticed is the indicators are far too quick. Don't know if you can see that. It's really weird though. The right one, or the left one rather, seems to work sometimes, but the right one always seems to, be having a rave. Also, as well, the headlight is, well, not very good, and the headlight switch is here. So we've got parking lights, and then we've got full lights. Yeah, I noticed when I've been out riding in the night, this light is kind of rubbish, but you can't see bugger all. But luckily, the full beam does work quite well. But that's something else that we'll probably need to look at some point in the future. So the chain is a little bit rusty, as you can see, but it's also quite loose. So hopefully today, when we do the chain cleaning, we'll be able to give it a little bit of. Oh, is that loose? No, it's not loose. Yeah, we'll be able to stretch it out a little bit, because that is certainly a bit too loose. I mean, if it's hitting up against the swing arm, then yeah, it's too loose. Right, so now we've got that out of the way, and that's everything that I've discovered so far. I mean, you've got this rear chain mudguard here that is cracked and broken as well. This looks like it might be an aftermarket one, so it might be nice to get another one at some point of those. But basically she just needs a bit of a clean. I haven't looked at the brake fluid, although I think brake fluid looks all right. Looks okay, it doesn't look too bad, but yeah, one day we'll probably change that as well, seeing as I've got some .4 lying around anyway. Let's crack on and do the oil change, shall we? So the very first thing we're going to do is turn the bike on, let her run for a few minutes, turn her off, and then drain the old oil. Now this bike just starts on the button for such an old motorcycle, it's crazy. Turn the choke down a little bit. In fact, that's another thing that I have noticed with this motorcycle. She does smell of petrol when she's running idle, so you know, that might mean that she's running a little bit rich, so maybe we'll have to take a look at the carbs at some point. But I mean, she's an old bike, so she runs really well, so I don't know if I'm going to fiddle with that or not, to be honest. But yeah, let's crack on and do this oil change. Well, there should be plenty warm enough. Let's turn her off, let her cool down just for a little bit, then we'll start draining the oil. This is the thing that I always forget to do when draining oil on a motorcycle, is just undoing the oil filler cap first, because it just relieves the pressure inside the crankcase, and you know, just allows the oil to flow a bit better when it's coming out of the motorcycle. So I'm going to do that first, get that out of the way so I don't forget. So the drain bolt is just there, that's where the kickstand is, and the drain bolt is just there, and that's a 17mm bolt. It's quite a big bolt, I think, for a motorcycle. That's good, wasn't on too tight there. That's where I get oil all over my fingers. Ooh, there we go. So next is the oil filter, which on most motorcycles is right about there, just underneath the radiator. So I'm going to try just undoing it by hand, because it should be hand tight. Just my luck, isn't it? It's not hand tight. A little bit more than hand tight. So that's where this tool comes in. Just sits over the top of the filter, and as you wrench on it, it tightens on it, and then it should loosen it. So I've just turned the front wheel towards me to get more of a straight grip on it. Let's see if this works. That's it, really clamp on it. There you go. She's coming. There's one old oil filter. Wow, that was a bit more of a challenge than I wanted. Right, so we'll let that drain a little bit longer. There's some oil in there still. And then next thing to do will be to put on the new oil filter, put in the oil drain bolt, and then fill her up. So an oil change really should only need basic tools, to be perfectly honest with you. An oil filter should just be about hand tight, maybe a little bit tighter than hand tight. So you should be able to get on it with your hands and pull it off yourself without the use of any tools or the need of any tools. But I mean, unfortunately, garages, whenever you get bikes, cars serviced at garages, they absolutely love to over tighten things. They love over tightening the oil drain bolt, they love over tightening the oil filter, and it just becomes a nightmare if you ever try doing it yourself, because they've got all the tools, you see. But I mean, this tool, where is it? Oh, it's over there behind the bike. It's a bit too far. That tool cost me, I think it was about 10 quid from Halford, so not that expensive, and it just means that basically you'll be able to do your own oil changes on any car or any motorcycle. So it is a worthwhile investment. So for the oil change today, we've got a Kawasaki, genuine Kawasaki oil filter, and we've got some, oh dear, I don't want to say that, some some futches, I don't even know.
Fuck. This one, fuck. Name, fuck.
But anyway, so it is FUCHS oil, and this is Comp 4 10W40. So this is basically in between part synthetic and fully synthetic. I don't really know what the difference is between this and part synthetic, but basically it's supposed to be 3/4 synthetic, maybe? I don't know, but that's the oil that we're going to use today. I mean, with old motorcycles, you probably should use better quality oils and things like that, just to give them a little bit of extra help, because, you know, as parts wear and things like that, you probably should be taking more care over engines, not less. And unfortunately, that seems to be the way how a lot of people go when it comes to older cars and older bikes. They just don't look after them. And honestly, doing oil changes every 6 months on old motorcycles like these can make all the difference. And well, I'm hoping that this bike at least lasts me a year without any too many major issues, should I say. But right, looks like the oil is drained, so let's whack on this new filter. Let's get some oil in her. And I've also got a brand new washer as well for the oil drain bolt. They threw that in there complimentary, which was nice, but they usually cost about 20 or 30p. I don't know, maybe 50 cents or something like that, maybe cheaper. It's just a washer, to be honest. And here is the filter. So I mean, comparing that to this old one here, this was a high flow premium HF303 filter. This one, I'm not going to turn it upside down because there's still a bit of oil in it, but I mean, I got this from a parts dealer local to my area, but if you're going to look online for this, this is a high flow HF303. So I imagine that's the filter that you need on pretty much any model of a ZX-9R, at least a C1, C2, was there a C3 as well? I can't remember. But anyway, as always with these, oh, I know I'm doing this barehanded, I know I shouldn't. Get a little bit of oil, I'm just gonna rub it round here, around the seal, so it helps seal it, but also as well, when you next time come to do an oil and filter change, it makes it just a little bit easier to get off. So yeah, always do that. Right, let's get her in there. So I'm gonna go hand tight and a little bit more. About there. So I can't turn it anymore with my hand. So I am happy that that is in there good and tight. Now with these oil drain bolts, a lot of the time, this one actually looks in pretty good condition. So you could just flip it round the other way and reuse it if you wanted to, but I mean, old-timer mechanics, they always change out this washer because, I don't know, man, it is, these things, they can go at any time, and once you've got that crush on it once, it's never going to seal quite as well as it used to, so you could end up with some minor leaks. But for today's video, I have got the other washer here somewhere. Here it is, inside the box that flew away. There we go, just a brand new little washer, just you know, it's just in case. It doesn't really make that much of a difference, but yeah, let's put this one in. So I mean, there is going to be a torque spec, but I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to do it hand tight like that. I'm going to go not too tight, just as tight as I feel comfortable. So I'm happy with that about there. It's not overly tight, but it doesn't need to be too tight, really, to be honest with you. So don't over tighten your oil drain bolts, for God's sake. You don't need it. You don't need a torque wrench either. You can if you're anal about it, but that there, look, I'm doing a moderate kind of pull on the wrench. That's all you need. Right, time to fill her up with some oil. I'm really not convinced that this is going to be enough. I don't know, we'll see. Right, now I am going to need a funnel for this, so I'm going to go and find one. I think I've got one in here. Right, the funnel that I had was really dirty, so I've just given it a bit of a wash, because you really don't want to put loads of crud inside your engine. There we go. Right, that's good enough. That's not going to stay. Okay. I need about 20 hands to do this. It's always good. Alright, please stay in there. Please make my life a little bit easier. So I'm going to need 2 hands for the oil. See, the wifey's not here today to give me a hand. So it's probably a better way of doing this if you're doing this on your own, but well, here goes nothing. So if I can just get a decent grip on it, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Okay, here we go. So I know that this bike needs a lot of oil from what's underneath there, so right, so far I haven't made a massive mess, so let's see if we can keep it that way. Oh no, I made a mess. Yeah, overdid it on the filter, on the funnel rather. Oh no, this stuff's really expensive. I think this oil cost me about 50-ish pound, 55 quid or so. Okay, so let's see how much is in there. None. All right, let's keep filling. Still going. Ah, this motorcycle needs a lot of oil. A little bit more. If you can see, it's filling up. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to overfill, because as soon as we get the bike started and the oil circulating around the motorcycle, once we turn it off again, there's going to be some that is going to be still stuck inside the bike. But right, that should be enough for at least the first one. So I filled up basically to the top line there. Yeah, watch this. So let's start her up, and then you'll see when we turn the bike off, there'll be like nothing in there again. Right, so always put in your filler cap back on again before you start the bike up. Okay. So the oil light has come off on the dashboard, so that's a good start. So when the bike's running, this is going to look empty. It's only when the motorcycle is off is when the oil starts draining back into the pan here, the oil pan. Interesting, so there's a little sticker right here that I've just noticed. It says oil capacity, filter not removed, 3 litres, filter removed, 3.3 litres, completely dry, 3.8 litres. So there you go, so that's quite a handy little sticker there. I mean, this box of oil that I've got is 4 litres, so yeah, we should be pretty good with the amount of oil that we've got here. Alright, I'm going to turn her off and let's see how much oil drains in the pan. Right, so let's see how much oil we get draining in the pan now, because I bet you it's going to be like none. I mean, the oil filter itself probably holds about 500 ml on its own. So that's where basically the reserve goes. That overflow that you do. So that's why whenever you're doing an oil change on a motorcycle, you fill it up to where it should be, maybe even overfill it to the top mark here, run it for, I don't know, a few seconds, 30 seconds, a minute or so, turn it off, and then have a look at this again and see where the level is. If the level is like this, where there's basically none in there, or that's what it looks like, then yeah, then you top it up after that up to in between the high and the low mark. So I'm going to fill it up probably about here, I think. She is an old bike, so I'm going to give her a little bit more oil. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it up a little bit more. Right, let's do this little dance again. Here we go. All right. Hey! Bloody filter, oh god, I keep calling them filters. Bloody, what are they called? Funnels. So I can see the fill line going up. I'm going to put in a little bit more, because it's just over half. Oh look, I'm going to end up using this whole thing. Oh, I'll do. That's 4 litres that I've just put in here, minus the amount that I've chucked on the floor. All right. Yeah, so you can see now that the oil is pretty much where it needs to be. For me, I filled it about just under the full mark there, the upper mark. So that's good enough for me. Right, let's start her up one more time, and then she should be good to go. I'll leave the choke off this time. She's got a little bit of heat in her. Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. It's always a satisfying. It's always a satisfying feeling after you've done an oil change on a motorcycle or a car, and you start it up for the first time, knowing that it's got fresh oil. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, she sounds good. Oh, she sounds so good. Oh, I love the sound of this bike. Alright, so turn her off, because the next thing we need to do is clean the chain. Now maybe whilst I'm here I might do the chain adjustment, I might not, because, well, I've got to shoot this video, I've got to go out and shoot a couple of other videos as well today, so I might have to leave the chain adjustment for another time. But anyway, let's go ahead, let's clean that chain. Well, so chain access to the Kawasaki ZX-9R is pretty easy. I mean, you could remove this chain guard if you really wanted to, but I mean, you've got all the access that you really would ever need on a motorcycle to clean the chain. So the very first thing we're going to do is use WD-40 to clean the chain, and we've got this chain brush here to also really scrub it in. So let's give this can a bit of a shake, so you can see there's some rust marks here, but I mean, all in all, actually I'm going to spray down here away from the brake. All in all, actually, the chain doesn't look too dirty, too rusty, to be honest. It looks like it's been looked after. As I turn the wheel, I'm going to give it a good old scrub with this chain brush here. Yeah, those rust spots are coming right off. So here's a rust spot here. Look at that. We have got a more detailed video about how to clean and lube a motorcycle chain. I'll leave that linked up in the top corner for you to watch afterwards if you want to. Right, let's get it in there like that as well, the brush. So it's cleaning both sides. And to be honest, just with this WD-40, she's looking pretty clean and pretty lubricated, but I mean, seeing as we're washing the bike today anyway, we're going to end up washing and cleaning away all of this grimy WD-40 off the bike before we go ahead and put on the actual protectant and lubricant that we're going to be using. Now, in the previous chain video, I kind of recommended the WD-40 chain wax, which I've got on order, but it hasn't arrived yet. It's due to arrive today, but unfortunately I haven't got all day to wait to do this. So instead I'm going to use a muck-off chain wax, which I've had lying around, which I tried, and unfortunately it's really shit. It's not good at all. I mean, you just spray it on, it just, as soon as you start the bike and start moving, it just flings it all off. The whole point of using a wax is so that it actually sticks to the chain and actually protects the chain from debris, which, yeah, that muck-off stuff doesn't work. So I wouldn't recommend using a muck-off product, to be honest with you. I'm not convinced by them. Well, I suppose whilst we're here, we could have a little look at the oil. Now, of course, if you see any sparkly bits in the oil, then you know you've got a serious problem. But I mean, I'm looking at it, it looks okay. There's some dust marks here, but they're not speckly, they're not shiny. You know they're metallic if they're shiny and speckly, but look, pretty clean motorcycle oil. So I'm quite happy with that. It looks like this bike is doing pretty well inside the crankcase. Yeah, pleased with that. Right, so for the cleaning in today's video, we've got a little microfiber mitt here. We've got a microfiber cloth. This is going to be used for drying. And we've got some of this, excuse me, Demon foam. You see this in Halfords. I mean, you get a lot of it, and I've used it before, it seems all right. And here I've got a bucket just of cold water and some of this Demon foam in it. Now what we're going to do, we're going to use the pressure washer just to rinse off any dust and debris on the bike. Then we're going to use this as kind of like snow foam, get it all over the bike. Then we're going to use this dipped in the bucket to agitate it, get it really in there, the nice nooks and crannies. Then we're going to use the pressure washer to rinse the bike off. Let's go. This is a low powered pressure washer, so should be fine, don't worry about it. I got you, go. We're gonna make you nice and clean. Right, so whilst we're here with the pressure washer, we'll go ahead and just spray off all this WD-40 that we've used. Looking pretty clean. There's still some old grease on it, but that's fine because we're going to get the soapy water on it in a second, and we're going to rinse it off again. Yeah, this stuff's good. Yeah, look at that. Pretty good snow foam. Right, so now we're going to go ahead with our little mitt here and just agitate it all to really get this in there.
She's looking pretty good already, just right here.
Right, so as always with this stuff, you really don't want to let the soap dry. So we might have to go over it again, but let's rinse it off. That's one thing we didn't do, to scrub this down with the soapy water. It makes all the difference. You'll see how dirty this gets. She's looking pretty good, I think. Right, so let's go over with the microfiber towel. Just dry her off I do have like a little vacuum cleaner or like a blower that, well, it's basically like a really strong hairdryer that kind of does the job quite well, but I understand that most people don't have that in their garages, so I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah, she's looking good. Really good. Well, that's her pretty much dry. I mean, the wheels need drying, but I mean, she's looking pretty sweet. For a 24-year-old motorcycle. I mean, she is a 24-year-old motorcycle, so she is going to be a little bit rough around the edges. But still, I mean, she's cleaned up pretty well. These bits here, I mean, they're just going to look old because it's rubber and plastic. It always looks old, but there are some sprays out there that I'm aware of that could bring this plastic and rubber kind of back to life and back to what it looked like when it was new, which is something I might do. I don't know. I might do that. Try and get this bike looking as neat and tidy as possible. Because she's a looker. She's old, but she's definitely a gilf. Alright, so the last thing to do is the chain. I'm going to dry it off again with this microfiber cloth. Then we're going to go over it with that stupid, horrible muck-off chain wax. See, look how good that chain looks. Looks so neat. Right, let's really scrub this down now with the cloth. Try and dry it up as much as we possibly can. Look, it's looking polished. I mean, okay, there are some bits here that are still kind of surface rusty, but it's fine. I've seen worse. Look at that, it's pretty clean. It's not as dry as it could be, so I might leave it for a few minutes. I mean, this microfiber cloth is sodden. Now there are some bits like in there that are really difficult to get to with a mitt or anything like that. You can try using a brush, but actually probably the easiest way is to take off the rear wheel here. If you really wanted to get stuck in there, really clean that good, taking off the rear wheel is probably the best way to do it, but I just tend to leave that bit most of the time unless I'm winterizing the bike, giving it a really thorough clean. But yeah, that's pretty much outside the scope of this video. Dry enough? Maybe not. I might get another towel actually, because I mean there's no point putting the chain wax on it if it's wet, you know, because it doesn't protect it. Okay, that's looking pretty dry to me. I'm happy with that. Just run your finger along it and then you'll know if it's dry. Yeah, she's pretty good. Pretty dry. Still dripping. Right, so let's get the chain wax. Let's whack that on. And then yeah, we're gonna be done with the chain here. So this stuff, as I kind of mentioned earlier, it's a bit too liquidy. You see that? Look, it flows a bit too well to be called wax. Well, it's called dry chain lube actually, but it's not that great. It just flings off. There's no point in having any lube on it if it just flings off. But I mean, what I'm going to do afterwards anyway, when I've got that WD-40 chain wax that I do actually recommend, I'm going to probably go ahead, clean the chain again and reapply that stuff instead. Right, so I'm going to apply this chain lube here. There we go. I'm going to apply it here just because I don't want it going anywhere near the brake, but we'll just do a little spray on like that. God, stuff stinks as well. Right, I think that's good enough. Look, you can see it dripping. It's not supposed to do that. Let's put on a little bit more. Got to be quite liberal with this stuff, unfortunately. Oh, and you're dirty again, or wet, dripping. Oh dear, doesn't look good. You got some soap on you or something? Right, there you go. You can see me now. Yeah, good. All right, that's looking pretty good. I think I can see a film, a thin film of the chain lube, which is what we want to see. So I mean, it was kind of like metallic, now it's looking a little bit bluer, which is what we want. But I mean, with the WD-40 chain wax, it's really easy to see because it's white, so you know what kind of coverage you've got with that stuff, and you don't with this. It's really annoying. Yeah, I mean, should we lube up in here as well a little bit? Oy. Why not? I'll lube that up a little bit. There we go. Right. Anyway, I mean, for today's video, we're pretty much done. Yeah, it's looking really good. The paint needs a bit of a buff, but because that's what it's supposed to look like here, just like this metallic kind of shine, and it's not, it's a bit dull. But there's a scrape there as well. Yeah, she's looking all right. I reckon with some polish, she'll come out looking like, as you can see, this has been hit by the sun, so it's been stored outside for a while, you can tell. But I mean, the other side, that's what it's supposed to look like. This is looking much duller. But still, I reckon with some polish, it'll probably come out looking quite well, I think. But anyway, there you have it, guys and gals. That's everything we're going to do to the ZX-9R in today's video. So we've done a service, so we've done an oil change, filter change, we've done a chain clean, and just a general bike clean as well. And I don't know, in another video in future, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about chain adjustments specifically. But I mean, I'm not that confident in doing the whole chain adjustment thing because I don't want to get the alignment wrong and things like that. But we'll do it anyway because that's exactly what this motorcycle is for, to do those kinds of experiments. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching this one. Leave a like, hit subscribe as always. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and if there's anything else that you would do to this motorcycle if you had it at your home, and what you would do to try and restore it, bring it back to its former glory. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. But thanks again, take care, ride safe, catch you all in the next video. Take care.